Wine lovers, stop by. We are about to reveal wine number 5 of our coast to coast wine advent calendar. Cheers. Stop by. We're going to meet the winemaker fully live, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Woo-hoo-hoo! Cheers, Canadian wine lovers.
Canadian wine lovers, Cardinals Wine Club members, all across the country, welcome. And this is day number 5 of our epic Pan-Canadian Journey Advent Calendar. Oh man, how much fun is that? I'm sorry, I'm short of breath. I've been running all over the Okanagan today, picking up samples for our Red Blend Marathon. I just ran in the house and set on my desk. Mira, thank you for the amazing glass of red wine that you had set up for me. Thank you.
I didn't.
We
Maybe
did
you
it.
did and you forgot, or maybe it's from like 3 nights ago. I have no idea.
No.
But,
Beautiful glass of a special wine, a beautiful glass from a special wine from the Golden Miles. That's what we're having tonight. I mean, I'm so excited because, okay, let's recap. We have a very special guest who's going to join us in a few minutes' time. But let's recap. We're more than a quarter, more than a third way into our Canadian journey across the country. So let's recap. Reveal number 1, day 1, we were in the...
Before you recap, I have to congratulate Louise because she made it on time and we were like 3 minutes late to start. So it was pretty funny, but it's so great to see you guys. And if you're here, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you're having some wine, if you're opening wine number 5, let us know. And if you leave a comment, I will enter you into a draw for our very last copy here in BC. There's more on the way of the Sipster's Guide to 50 More Must-Try Ontario Wines, where our story for Carl's Wine Club is featured. We've all signed it for you, so it's priceless. It's a priceless prize. So
it sure is priceless, Mira Boucher. When there's Mira Boucher's signature on it, it is extremely precious. I'm telling you, she's been hunted by some of the big wigs in the States. Everyone want a piece of her. So absolutely, Mira Boucher, it's the big deal right now. Stacy is here. He said my chargeable hours are down this week. All I think about at the office is what amazing wine that Carl's are waiting for me at home tonight. This is from Jeff. Oh, sorry. Okay. That's from Jeff. Jeff Robato. Jeff, thank you. I mean, yes, we put a lot of thought behind the selection. And to be honest, that's what I love the most in what I do. Man, sitting down in front of my little framework and shifting things around and moving these pieces of the puzzle to make that very complex, actually, pan-Canadian puzzle in terms of wine, grape varietals, sub-region, white, red. It is so cool to come up with that top 12 that we're having right now. But let's recap. Day number 1, we started in Nova Scotia, one of the most upcoming region in the country, do not say in the world, producing some outstanding traditional method wine. And Jean-Benoit Deslauriers, winemaker at Benjamin Bridge, was with us. We had the non-vintage reserve, which is a blend of 60% Chardonnay, 35% L'Acadie Blanc, and 5% Pinot Noir, a special wine from Nova Scotia, bubbly. 92 points Carl's Wine Club, which I got lots of criticism of for not rating this wine high enough, and it came from all over the country. These criticism I've heard from Vancouver, I've heard it from Manitoba, I've heard it out and loud from Ontario, even from Summerland. In my own household, I heard it loud as well.
I love that wine.
That wine has been an absolute rock star. So day number one, we had that incredible sparkling traditional method. Day number two, we went with sometime a grape varietal who goes under the radar a little bit. It's kind of a afterthought for many wine culture, but we have to know that in France, I was talking to a French couple this weekend in Merritt, BC, in a hockey tournament. They are from Paris. He's from Paris. She's from Bretagne. And I was talking to them, and we had a glass of the Malivoire 2021 Courtenay Gamay, which was on our second reveal. And he was telling me about Gamay in France. Most of the people, if you go somewhere for an evening, of fun, you usually try to bring a nice Beaujolais because it's super approachable. And when you talk to the French culture, everyone enjoys Beaujolais. So that's kind of funny thinking about that here. And Gamay is a little bit underrated as a grape. But Mira, in the last couple of years, we've tasted some amazing Gamay, and the Courtenay Gamay, which is part of the original block of their Gamay planting, has been vinified and made on its own in Courtenay's block since 2002 at Malivoire, a very, if not the most serious Gamay in the country. I give it a 92 plus points, I believe, with our Gamay, or vice versa with the Bachelor, with the Benjamin Bridge. But yeah, now.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, I'm going to drop the link. If you guys want to see Carl's scores and notes, so the Mouchadre Syrah, a 94-point wine. It might get into our top 10 wines of the year this year. The Tantalus Old Vines Riesling, 93 plus points. The Malivoire Courtenay Gamay, 92 points. And the Benjamin Bridge Reserve Sparkling, 92 plus. So those were the scores that Carl published the other day. And yeah, I would say you have maybe 2 other or 3 other Gamays rated a little bit higher than that in the whole country.
Yeah, 2, I believe. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so that was the day 2. Day 3, we went for the first time in British Columbia on the East Kelowna slope from one of the oldest vinifera plantation in Canada. So it's from the old block, so old vines of Tantalus Riesling, 2021 vintage, a 93 plus points Carl's Wine Club, one of the most expressive and deep and concentrated and complex Riesling on the market. And for people who knows us and follow us for a long time, this is the Swan staff, I would say, Roberts Brock's counterpart from BC, something incredible. Last night, after being on the east, as Kelowna, the Kelowna east slope, we went to the Lake Erie North Shore appellation, which is a small appellation in Ontario, just near the border, near Michigan, where there's like 18 wineries out there, and also really focus on red wines, a hot spot in Ontario where they can produce big and bold reds. And we opened last night with the members, the 2020 Mouchadre Syrah, 98 cases produced, an outstanding Syrah. So that was our day
and
of.
That's what I have in my glass, because I have to tell you guys, I said I'm craving bacon with this Syrah. And so I did have it with bacon. It was spectacular. And then I was like, I'm craving, well, Stacy and Jeff were saying that they were having that Syrah with dark chocolate. So I thought, I got it. Bacon dipped in dark chocolate. And I swear I did it. You can see it on my story today. I did it. Bacon dipped in dark chocolate with that Mouche de Syrah. Gloriously decadent.
So yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. When she has something in mind, she doesn't fuck around. I'll tell you one thing. And here we are, 94 points, Syrah, with that amazing, with the double smoked bacon that we have here from our little deli store, 10-minute drive from our house.
Kara,
Now,
Dean, nice
now
to see you
we
guys. All right.
are day 5 of our reveal. We are day 5 and yesterday I gave one clue to our members. I gave one clue, and I said, this is from a winery who was part of the Pan Canadian Masterclass 2.0. That was my clue that I gave. So now,
big part of it is
they
your
don't know where. Yeah, I mean, they were a big darn freaking part of it because they were the host. They were the host of the Pan Canadian Masterclass 2.0. That was led by an outstanding winemaker, Mark Hopley, who's in the green room right now, joining us in a minute. But I mean, Mira, do you want to please unwrap that bottle? So,
okay. Oh my god.
There you go. There you go. Esther Creek GSM 2022 vintage. This is a platinum award winner at Wine Line. This is a 93 plus points Carl's Wine Club. This is a very unique small batch wine that Mark Hopley and his team has crafted so well. And it's not a type of wine that we produce every year here in BC. It's not something that you go at the liquor store and you see a Canadian section of GSM with 12, 15, 20 different version of it. No, absolutely no. This is very rare. I mean, there's no Grenache, with not a lot of Grenache growing around here. There's barely no Mourvedre growing around here, and the Syrahs are getting like smaller and smaller. So here is the Esther Creek GSM 2022, our day number 5 reveal of our Pan-Canadian Advent Calendar, our second BC wine out of the first 5. So now, you guys have been listening to me for 16 minutes, I think, when Mark Hopley, the man, the myth, the legend, is in the green room. So I don't think it's fair for anyone who's listening to us to listen to me anymore. So let's bring Mark in. I want this guy to talk to our people. Mark Hopley.
Desert, right? You're down in, it's like sunny and hot down there, right? Canada's a little desert, you know?
Jesus, because you were in the car today. I'll tell you one thing, Mira. I was down there. It's freaking snowing.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a desert today. When I left the winery, it was almost a whiteout blizzard, but it was raining in the valley bottom, so that shows you the elevation. But no, it's a little wetter today, but thanks guys for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Mark, it's so nice to have you on, and thanks for spending a couple minutes here on your Wednesday night. Yes, here we go. You're amazing.
You have it too. Look at that. People have it. We all have it. Oh my God. It's so fun.
2022 Esther Creek GSM. Let's start, Mark. Let's start a little bit from the big picture here. Esther Creek, one of the staple of the South Okanagan. You guys are located on the Golden Miles. Can you tell us a little bit about how Esther Creek was created? When was it? And when did you jump on board?
Sure. So, well, originally, guys, I know are familiar with this story, but Joe Bisnardo planted some vines in 1968 on the Golden Mile Bench. So we've got a 115-acre parcel, about 85 acres planted. And our current owner, Kurt Garland, purchased the property in 2004. And then so the facility that we just hosted the Pan Canadian with you guys. That was built in 2008. So we're just kind of we definitely got our feet wet on that. We've just done a really big expansion, and we're pretty fortunate to be on the Golden Mile bench. So we're talking about that snow falling tonight. So the snow's falling. It's a little cooler up top, but in the summer, that's not a bad thing, right? So what'll happen is that cooler actually slides to the valley bottom. So we really selected, at least the original owners of the property saw it, and we've just been fortunate enough to have these old vines with a lot of character. The particular fruit from this actually comes from another property, which I'd really love to do a deep dive on with you guys, because it's got quite a story behind it. We call it Vineyard 11. So the whole idea of, on a scale of 1 to 10, our president, Mark Sheridan, called it an 11. And I think, you know, as a winemaking team, the chance to work with this fruit, we're talking Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre, from literally the hottest site that you could probably find in the entire country, which, as you guys know, Grenache needs that, right? It needs some warm weather. It definitely needs some milder winters, which we usually experience in that site.
So Mark, so you guys are on the Golden Mile side. So that site, that Vineyard 11, is it across on the other side of Lake Osoyoos, or is on the same side than you are?
No, so it's on the other side, Carl. It would be
Is
on
it more where it's more sunny with the south-facing slope, so the afternoon sun?
Yeah, so if you're familiar with where the cottages are,
yep,
right in the corner there, I would say in the northeast corner of the Osoyoos Lake, there's a property behind there that San Baptiste has, and we, in conjunction with the Kismet guys, so Suki and Balwinder, they farm that for us. It's a 60-acre vineyard, which I believe we get about 30 acres of it. And so we've got Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a really great site for warm, red varietals. So we don't have any white on there. It's all red, and they're all. Honestly, that vineyard did very well. And I know your listeners are probably aware that particular area along Osoyoos Lake on the benches there tend to fare a lot better than the rest of the valley. In a cooler year, and in a warm year, it can be very, very warm.
So Mark, with the disaster that we have experienced last year and the frost, earlier this year, how's that Vineyard 11 survive? Was there, because I know there's a few sites around Osoyoos Lake that they had a little bit of grape this year. Is it one of them?
We didn't pick from there this year. It was not really worth harvesting, but I will tell you that the vines looked like they were ready to produce, if that makes sense. So we're confident that this year we'll have a crop off that property. But it really is an interesting site, right? It gets very warm. It cools down at night because you're up a little bit. The airflow kind of, the lake gives it a moderating effect in the winter, as we've been talking about. And it's just a really good site, because I have worked with Grenache before at other wineries, guys, and it's a very tough variety to grow in Canada, but we're doing it. We're excited about it. And you alluded to it. We won a platinum with this wine right out of the gate, which was really exciting because it's a brand new wine for us.
So Mark, let's backtrack a little bit. I would like to talk about the house. I would like to talk about Hester Creek. Hester Creek produced around 80,000 cases, I would say, in an average year, which is a big number for BC winery in general. But what's really interesting with you guys, you have multiple tiers of wine, so you have some outstanding value wines, but you've been working on some pretty cool small batch project in the last 4 or 5 years, which the owner give you full reign. You can just let your imagination that the product the project like the X, Y, and Z, and that GSM as well. The GSM is part of that little hands off to you and let your imagination go. So can you tell us a little bit about the portfolio of Hester Creek?
Well, it's a diverse portfolio of wines. And as a winemaker, as a winemaking team, it's exciting because you get to work with so many different varieties. Not only are we working with Bordeaux, we're working with Burgundy, we're working with Rhone. So what we have is different tiers, as you mentioned. We have foundation series, so that's mostly, I wouldn't say our entry level point, but it's basically value wine for the consumer that's available kind of across the whole province and beyond. Then we have our source series, which we go out, we source the best fruit we can. We have a Cabernet Sauvignon in that series. We have a Merlot in that series. We have a Syrah in that series, and then we have our storied series, which you're kind of touching base on there. So we have some wines that I think really do tell a story. We have a wine called Joe's Block, which is a very small production, around 100 cases a year. It's all from the Golden Mile Bench on our property of this Italian clone of Merlot that is very unique. It's very spicy. So we make about 4 or 5 barrels of that every year. We also in that line we usually have a Semillon that we didn't actually make the Semillon this year, but we've got some exciting wines to come too that I don't want to, I probably shouldn't be talking about it just yet, but look for 2 more wines in that storied series that are very unique and rare, I would say, in the Okanagan.
I'll have to book you for another half an hour sometime soon if you keep teasing me that way, Mark Copley.
Well, the storied series for me is a lot of fun because it's wines that, like our Pinot Gris is an 8,000-9,000 case brand. Our customers expect a certain style of wine. Wines like Joe's Block, wines like, this GSM, we can have a little fun with it because it is a blank canvas. So, what kind of style, we'll sit down as a team and decide what type of wine we want to make. It's not a one-person decision. It starts obviously in the vineyard. We get, Mark Sheridan has got some of the best vineyards that we can find in the entire country. I'm totally stoked to make wine. Vineyard 11 is just going to be a beauty moving forward. You're going to see our Source Series Cab Sauv, Cabernet Sauvignon comes from that vineyard. And that fruit, it's like anything. If you can up your game across the board, it's going to help all the wines. So there might be 10% of Cab Sauv from that vineyard in another blend where it can really kind of raise the bar. And so for me, that's exciting.
Well, Mark, when the president of your company is one of the world most known viticulturists who work with some of the very top brand in the world, and what he does, it's a viticulturist by trade. I mean, it gives you an edge on how to source the best fruits around.
Yeah. And you know what? We're at that size where we need that, right? So you're talking like 80,000 cases in that ballpark, depending on the vintage. But the expertise around our winery, people are allowed to do what they do well. So Mark gets us some amazing fruit. I'm not a viticulture guy. I know a little bit about it, but that's not my expertise. That's his, and that's our vineyard manager's expertise, and we take advantage to that, believe me. But when it comes in the cellar, we have an amazing team. We have a full lab, and our marketing team, our brand manager, what's been going on the last few years. It seems like we've been creating brands a lot lately, and there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes that the customers don't necessarily see until they have, the bottle in front of them. But I will tell you, we've got some pretty exciting wines coming down the pipe this year.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the GSM, but I just want to allude a little bit about the Y, X, and Z, because Mira and I had the privilege to taste the X early on last year when you guys just released it, and it was one of my top 10 wine of the year last year. It was so good out of the gate, and now it tells me that X is out. Y must be coming out at some point, because I know it was a trilogy. So come on, tell me a bit about it.
Okay, so the deal was, Mark came to the team and said, look, I just want you to make the best wine you possibly can, blank canvas. So I'm not going to tell you the varietals it's going to be made from. What do you want to make it from? Let's get the best grapes we can, use the best barrels we can, and make the best wine we can. So we called it Winemaker's Trilogy. So it was a 3-year project. And I really love Petit Verdot and Malbec, what they bring to a blend in the base. So that was our base for the 3 years, Mira and Carl. We had Petit Verdot, Malbec, and then the first year we threw in Merlot. So X, the wine that I know you've tried it. I believe we had it at I think we might have tasted it in the back at the Pan Canadian.
We did taste it at the Pan Canadian at the reception.
Right, on the crush pad. It's coming back.
Absolutely.
So that wine was Merlot. So basically the Petit Verdot and the Malbec really bring a structure to the wine, right? And what I like about the Petit Verdot in particular, it has a real floral note. And I think it's really, really important in a lot of the best wines around the planet. If you really look, if you're talking 5-10% of Petit Verdot, that can go a really long way, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
A lot of these varieties, to be quite honest, I don't love on their own, but you get into the blending components, you throw in a little Malbec, and then you use some Merlot to soften it up. So bottom line was we used Merlot in the first in X, and in Y that is out now. We have some at the wine shop, but it's very, very limited. We only make 4 barrels of this wine. It's the first wine we made at the $100 price point. So that particular wine has Syrah as a fruit component. So it's Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Syrah. And the final wine in the trilogy that will be released about this time next year is called Zed. And that is Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Sangiovese. So that's another variety, actually, kind of tying this all back full circle to Vineyard 11. That's we have Sangiovese on that property. And for us, that might open up some other opportunities when you start thinking Tuscan style wines and whatnot. So look for that in Project Z. And I think you'll really enjoy
So that's the exciting part of what's coming up. And I jumped the gun because it's usually my last question, but I got too excited about that. I mean, if I start pretending that my connection is about to cut out or I'm leaving the room, it's because I'm on my way to the tasting room, go get a bottle of the wine. Let's get back to our horse here, okay? Because day number 5, Mark, I mean, it's a pretty cool thing. That's what we're doing. Like every night, a different wine from across the country. I was so excited, and to get a wine like the GSM here. Let's talk about the component of that wine: Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. Would you like to break it down for us, please? And also, let's stop because it's a 12.8% alcohol. So for something who comes from down south, Osoyoos, I mean, 2022 was a special vintage. Everything started fairly late.
Yeah.
So if you can break down the component of the wine, the challenge of the vintage, but not only the challenge, the attribute of that vintage, which makes possible that kind of wine for you.
So 22 was, it was one of the biggest years we've ever had, to be quite honest. It was a very productive year, but it was also a crazy long year, like a long growing season. We were getting nervous into the fall because it was, it hadn't been that warm. The fruit was a little bit behind, but we had an amazing fall, right? So we had that hang time. But again, I think that's why you'll see some lower alcohols from that vintage, because it was a bigger vintage, I would say that the Grenache component, well, I mean, any Rhone style wine, I have only worked with Grenache three occasions in my career at other wineries, and it's an interesting grape. Like for me as a standalone, it's more in that Pinot Noir category. Sometimes it's more juicy red berry fruit, it maybe doesn't always have the structure of some other varietals, but that's what I think on this Rhone style wine that really works is you're talking about Grenache, Mourvèdre, and Syrah. So the Grenache brings that real fruity component, right? It was a slightly bigger berry, I'll be honest, the Grenache was, but the Mourvèdre was really small and shriveled, and it was really peppery. So you had this, what I love about the layers of those 3 grapes is the Syrah brings some backbone, it's got some oomph.
And then the Mourvèdre can kind of play the Petit Verdot role in the Bordeaux blend almost, right?
Sounds familiar, right? Like exactly. So for me, when it comes to blending, there's your 3 secrets. If you got a really fruity component with something with some really nice structure, and then a little bit of pepper, a little bit of herbal notes, then you've got like a trifecta of you've got like 3 good things going on. And I think when we did this wine, guys, we wanted it to be mainly Grenache. That was kind of the caveat when we started, and we knew that was going to be tough because we thought about making a straight Grenache, but then we thought, we tasted a lot of Rhone wines. The ones that we really liked as a group were dominant in Grenache. And I don't know, if a lot of your listeners know this, but to have GSM on the label, you could have 1% Grenache in that and still call it a GSM, because it doesn't have the varietals. That does have the varietals listed in order. And to do that, it has to be truly in order. So I think being Grenache dominant was a huge part of what we wanted to do. So it is a little softer. This is a great food wine, in my opinion. You know, we've done this wine with duck quite a few times, and it is a really nice pairing. So it's, you know, it's one of those wines that, yes, I think it's better with food, but it doesn't absolutely need it either. It's a juicy wine for me. I think when I think of this wine, and this will sound funny, but think of like Willamette Valley Pinots when they get that real juicy character. They've got backbone, but they're really fruit driven and they're not overly tannic. If that makes sense.
That's it. And that's what stands out to me. It's not a tannin bomb. It's not a grippy, puckery type of wine. It's approachable. The acid is fairly high in the term, like we were talking about the food. That's my connection with the food. And the Petit Verdot brings something, the spice, but also the herbaceousness and a little bit of floral component. The herbaceousness really resonate on the nose. The aromas, you got the sage, you got the dry, almost rosemary, rosemary. And I believe that it's coming from the Petit Verdot, like
Mourvedre too, right? The Mourvedre.
I mean, you said,
okay, I know.
Yes.
What you mean.
Here's my.
You know what? You're bang on though, Carl. Those two wines, when I look at like X and when I look at GSM, that's where that spicy character probably comes from. In the case of X, the Petit Verdot.
Yeah, and the Mourvedre for the GSM. Absolutely. Yeah. So 45 Grenache, 38 Syrah, 17% Mourvedre. So a well-rounded wine. So this is the first iteration, first time ever that you, Mark, and your team make the GSM at Esther Creek. Your first vintage, right out of the gate, you got the platinum medal for the red blend category at Wine Align this year.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it's important when you come out with a new wine. You know, as a team, as any winery, when you come out with a new brand, you want it to kind of hit on all cylinders. And so, honestly, we were really fortunate to win that award, and I think it got it off and running. I will tell you too, when you look at our portfolio, guys, I think, in my opinion, it's a bit of an outlier. Like most of our wines are Bordeaux-driven wines. They're quite big on the red side. We do a Syrah, of course, as well, that I think is showing really well right now. But this wine is a little more friendly, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
for the serious wine lovers, but it's also that wine that you can have. You could have this with turkey if you want it.
Very versatile on the dinner table. Absolute 100%. And talking about Bordeaux varietals and talking about something that we're planning very soon, Mark, we're going to feature your 2017 The Garland on December 28th here. We're doing a pan-Canadian showcase of red blends, and The Garland is one of your two flagship wine at Esther Creek. Dominant Cabernet Sauvignon, this one, so a left bank Bordeaux style. So we're going to open that for the on December 28th for our Red Blend Marathon. I am freaking excited about that too.
Well, I'll tell you, it's nice to taste some wines with age, right? Obviously, that's not necessarily from the wine shop. We might have dug into the library for that, but that was the talk in the winemaking office is, okay, we want to impress these guys. What can we show them? And so we have been tasting our libraried wines lately, and I know Anthony Gismondi absolutely loved that wine, the 17. He said it was one of the best wines that Hester ever made, I believe was his quote. And the way it's showing, the way it's aging, you tell me, but we're pretty happy with it. And it's nice to see these wines age, right? We talk about how long they can age, but it's nice when you see it in the proof. You know, you're going to taste it. I can't wait to watch that tasting, actually.
And Mark, I mean, we're talking about our legacy. We're talking about how we're building history right now. We are at a stage in our evolution as a wine producing country, Ontario, BC. Now we're starting to write our own book. We're starting to write new chapters, and it's time for us to show the aging potential. We're not just an emerging wine region anymore. We're getting established. We have our sub regions who are getting more and more defined, showing the ageability of what we do. I think it's very important, and that kind of tasting we're doing, I think it's part of writing a new chapter of what we're doing.
Especially when, I mean, you guys are a perfect example of this. You're showcasing wines from across the country, and a lot of the people that are buying your wines are cellaring them. We know that. Like they're wine lovers. So for me, when you can go into a cellar and have, if you've got a case or you got 6 bottles of something, then you can really see how it's progressing. Because if you just have 1 or 2, it's like, once you open it,
That's it. It's gone.
Sometimes you wish you would have waited. Sometimes you wish you would have drank it sooner, right?
Absolutely. So no, we're excited about that. And before I let you go, Mark, quick backtrack. 6 months ago, we posted so far like one of the greatest production of what we've done is the Pan Canadian Masterclass, the 2.0. You and your team hosted the event at Esther Creek. We had just over 100 guests there. One thing that I took notice on is how many barrels that you and your team have moved out of the cellar to accommodate our guests, because this is a very impressive number. Tell our listener.
Well, we basically handled 750 barrels, but in order to house over 100 people, yeah, there you go. So basically the guts of the whole barrel cellar had to be moved out. So we moved, I would say there's probably 600 barrels, 550 we had to move off that floor to the other side.
So where those 120 people are, those would all be barrels, and you just barely have enough room to walk through.
Yeah, totally. But you know what? It was the first time we've really used that room that way. And I think moving forward, we know that we can do it. There's a little bit of forklifting maybe, but we can, it's a nice room to house a big group, because it's hard to find a room of that scale where you can comfortably, do a tasting in flights. As you guys, I remember a lot of stemware coming through the building that day. That was something.
There is that.
Well, it ended up being like 13 or 14 wines we ended up doing. We said 12 wines coast to coast, but it was like at least 14, I think. So that's 14 glasses. Holy smokes, for 100
per person. Yeah. Plus all the glassware we used at the beginning at our pre-reception with you on the cross pad and the winemaker invited. Mark, I want to know what did it mean for you in the winery to host that event? Because we had people from Nova Scotia, from all over the country. Must have been pretty cool to host your counterpart from everywhere.
Yeah, it was amazing, and the group of winemakers and owners that you guys put together. You talk about kindred spirits. Just everybody got along really well. There was a real sharing of information, and it was really educational for me, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not really familiar with a lot of Niagara wines, Beamsville wines, definitely not from the Maritimes. And you had some sparkling that was amazing. We had a Chardonnay from your buddy there at
from Clausen Chase in Prince Edward County, Keith Dyer. I know that he has. Hey, by the way, he has his new release that he's sending to me. He wants me to give you one of each as a Christmas gift. So he has something on the way for you from Clausen Chase.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. But that's the kind of thing we're building now, talking about the segue to 2025. Now, the date has been set, and Mark, you are invited, and we would love to have you to come to Niagara at Swan Staff to be part of it this year. Not this time, not as a host, but as the guy who's going to pass the torch to Swan Staff, from former host to one of our panelists.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I really want to go. I've got to do a little juggling with the bottling schedule and make sure that we're good. But I really want to be there. And
That would be amazing.
I loved when Sue Ann had some real interesting things to say about what she was going to do. I know there's now, what is it? It's her grilled cheese sandwich that she's known for. Is it not? Right?
With her
And
famous Rieslings, of course.
Riesling, yeah. No, so that'll be good. And I think we're excited to pass that torch. We were just excited to be involved from the get-go. And it was a real learning opportunity. I just felt like we could have talked long. It just, you almost run out of time. It's one of those things where you're looking at the clock and you're like, oh man, that day's already gone. But the events around that too, for me, were really special. Like when we started, I think we went to Mythology to start and sat down and got to meet the group and shared some nice wines. And for me,
so this time around, Mark, what we're going to do, we're doing a 3.5 day event this time. Okay. So exactly, we learned that we all wanted more time together. So and it's going to start at Bellaterra on a Thursday night with a welcome reception where we're going to do wine station all around the pond to start for the kickoff. And after that, winery touring day, the main event, and another winery touring day. So all together to go learn with the members what other people do. So 3.5 day coming up this year. So
love it. And
hey,
how many people can she get in that room? Do you guys know? Or are you working on that?
So at Suan, we can fit all under the tent. We can fit, I believe, 240 people.
Oh wow! So it's a bigger space than what we had.
Yeah, it's a giant tent.
Yeah,
when she hosts
1,000 people for events there, but not like a sit down, tasting where you need lots of space. But yeah, there's a lot of space under that huge pond side tent, which is really exciting.
That is awesome. No, I'm glad to hear that.
We're shooting more bigger and bigger. We're talking for one of our first major sponsor as we speak. So, the thing is growing. So we're really excited. Mark.
What were you going to say, Mark? He had started saying something.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Say, I'm looking forward. Thank you so much for featuring this. I've loved Avid calendars from the get-go, but I've got to tell you, wine's more interesting than chocolate to me. So nice work. But
absolutely.
Thanks for including us. We appreciate it, and we'll see you in June.
So we'll see you before that. We'll see you before that. Tune in on December 28th. We're going to taste the Garland 2017. In the meantime, Mark, to you, your team, and your family, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to all of you, okay?
Appreciate you both so much. Mira, Carl, thanks so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Amazing.
GSM 2022 from Hester Creek, 47% Grenache, 38% Syrah, and 17% Mourvedre. A platinum award winner on his first ever release, 93 plus points, Carl's Wine Club. This is Hester Creek GSM. Mira, what do you think of that wine?
Oh, I love it. I love duck. And so that came up. So, last night was Syrah and bacon. That was my fantasy. Tonight, it's this whole thing this wine with some duck. Oh my God, we got to try that. And you know what I realized, Carl? I don't like cooking that much, but when I have a great wine that I taste and then I think of a pairing, it makes me want to get in that kitchen and do whatever it takes to make that come to life.
There you go. Hey.
I chopped onions for like 3 hours because I wanted to try that Chardonnay with French onion soup.
That's true. So to all the ducks and the geese out there, be freaking careful. Mira's on the hunt.
Yeah, there's some that come out here in our yard sometimes.
Might shoot the swan or something.
No. Swan with GSM. These people went crazy.
Mark Hopley is one of my very favorite freaking person on that neck in the industry. I love him. I love how candid he is. I love how generous he is. He's so humble too, and just to share this with him, really grateful.
Very special.
This wine is fantastic. This wine is elegant. This wine is refined. This wine is complete. I just love that. and the uniqueness of the blend that we don't find here across the country. There's not a lot left of that. So if you want to tag, if you want to put a few aside to build your own case this week, it's time to do so. We might run out before the end of the week. So let us know. Mira has put it, I think it's on the website already. My notes are going to be like magically appearing tomorrow.
The notes and scores are on the page. Oh, Tracy and Jim cook a lot of duck. This is very good to know. This is very good to know. You can A, give me tips, and B, next time I'm in your area, I'll just show up at your door and be like, are you having duck today? No.
I mean, I like the herbaceousness, like the floral component of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, just so aromatic.
Yes. Hey, I think we're going to do our draw in a minute. So if you want to leave a comment for a chance to win a signed copy of this book, Daryl and Sandy have won one. So if they win again, we'll let them pick something else if they prefer. But yeah, signed copy. Our story of how we started Carl's Wine Club is in there. It's pretty cool. So yes.
There you go. There you go. What a great interview. So GSM today on reveal number 5. Traditional method, Chardonnay, Acadie Blanc, and Pinot Noir. That was Gamay. It was Riesling. It was Syrah. And now we got the GSM tonight. We did Gaspereau Valley, Beamsville Bench, Kelowna, East Slope, Kelowna, Lake Erie North Shore, and now the Golden Bench, the Golden Mile Bench in Oliver. I mean, this is all these little parts tagging along together to make this selection quiet, unique, and quiet special. Stacey, it's good enough that we put our Advent calendar wine choices in our cart, or should we email you? Mira.
Yeah, I was just writing back. So right now we're all good. I'm going to email everyone when numbers are starting to get low. Because some of these wines, there's not a ton of them left or available. Some of them.
Well, that's what I mentioned, right? So that is like, yeah. If people show a lot of interest on that very specific wine, it might be all gone before the end of the week. So that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah. So, yeah, you do have the option if you want. You can just buy them using the code ADVENT, and then you won't get charged any shipping. You can just like buy 2, buy 1, whatever. We'll put them all together if they have that ADVENT code. And I'm okay to do some swapping around or whatever at the end. Like if you end up saying, oh my God, there's this wine number 12 that we just have to have 2 of. And so we're going to swap it for this other one earlier on. That's okay too. So yeah, if there's something that you're like, I must have 6 or 12 of this, you probably want to email us back just to make sure we save you enough. But if it's, yeah, I'll also send a note when we think these are going to be all out for good. So
exactly. Oh my God.
That's so cool. Tracy and Jim bought a couple of copies of the Sipster's Guide to share with their kids. That's super fun. I mean, Luke Whittall has a great writing style. He writes some fun stories in here, and it was really cool that he sort of sat us down for an interview and shared the Carl's Wine Club story, which honestly, I mean, we should probably do on our blog or something at some point. It's funny how we never talk about ourselves much, right? But yeah,
I know we made a career. I made a career to talk about somebody else, some other wineries and some other wines, and not about ourselves. But that's fine. What we do around here is freaking world class, and we're so happy to share with all of you guys.
Yeah, these wines, these wineries, we're so proud of them.
I mean, I'm already excited for tomorrow. I mean, like, yes. We're 5 wines in, 5 already. I feel like at that pace, with the quantity that we have, I can go for a full month.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the crazy thing is we're speaking at a conference in Monterey for about 600 people from the wineries in that area in California, just in a few weeks here. And they asked us to speak about like going live and video content and that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people go, how can you go live for hours? Like you must have to rehearse and think about things. And it's like, nope, Carl has the gift of gab.
You want to kill me? You want to kill me? Ask me to rehearse. Give me, or you really want to kill me on the spot? Give me a script. I am dead.
No. All right. I think I've gotten everyone's name. Quick.
I think Stacy just had the coolest suggestion, Mira.
40 days of Lent. Yes. You have to save your bottle for Easter. Oh, that would be hard.
That's too good.
Yes,
too
and
good.
Daryl's saying very pretty but lighter in body. I'm assuming what the GSM. Yeah,
The GSM is. Yeah, it is lighter style. It's a medium body wine. Absolutely, definitely, Daryl. What I like about that,
especially for what we're used to from that area, from Hester Creek, right? Lots of bold reds out of there, being a desert. So.
Yeah, medium body, but lots of finesse and lots of intricacy. Lots of twists and turns into that wine that I really like. And this wine is worth to cellar for a few more years. Definitely, it's a baby 2022, just released. That's worth cellaring for a while. Amazing. Spin the wheel, baby. Spin the wheel.
There you go. Uh-oh, you're so close, Jeff and Stacy. Louise, congratulations. One of these Sipsters guides is in the mail for you. Our last one, because we had another shipment that got delayed. So it's our last one for now. Congrats, Louise. I will drop that in the mail for you. Merry Christmas. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, and December 28th, it's going to be our Red Blend Marathon. I just spent the whole day on the road in the Similkameen Valley, like Clos du Soleil, Courcelette, Vanessa Vineyards, in the south of the Okanagan at Hester Creek, at Intersection, Black Hills, like Phantom Creek as well. So lots of wineries are donating wines for that epic Red Blend Marathon. I also stop at Da Silva, also at Painted Rock, Blasted. Anyway, so there's going to be like dozens and dozens of Red Blends. Hidden Bench from Ontario is on the way. Vineland Estate with their Legacy project is on the way. Palatine Hill.
Yeah, Palatine Hills.
Palatine Hill, funny enough, sending a 2010 vintage of their Bordeaux blend. So there's a bunch of Oz and Redstone and Consommé and Bellaterra. I mean, I know I'm missing a bunch, but now there's red blends coming from all over the place for December 28th marathon. So tune in. We're going to have some of our rock star industry people here at the Bouchers, like Richard Da Silva is going to be on site, Rob Hammersley, maybe Shay Coates and Daniel Bonterin. All of these guys are all going to be on site tasting wine with us at that Red Blend Marathon, which when Mira will be blind taste me with some of these big dogs alongside the Oculus 2020, which had received 100 points from one of our beloved wine writer here in BC. So
the first Canadian red to get 100 points from a wine critic. So that was the whole inspiration for this Red Blends Live. Plus, we polled you guys in the VIP group on Facebook, and everyone said that they would like to see a Red Blends marathon. So that's part of what we're doing. Now, we know from past ones when Carl and I, or at least Carl, because I can't even like keep up with these marathons. Okay. I'm just a regular person like everyone else. But Carl, when he tastes reds, after about 30 reds, your mouth is about to fall off, I would assume, right? So no, 40. I mean, reds are different. He had 112 Chardonnays and he could have kept going, right? Describing them perfectly, even on the 112th one. But reds,
I'm going to do it. I have a little process that I'm going to do before, like the couple days leading up to it.
Okay.
having my palate ready to go, but I'm expecting to be good to go for 50, 55.
See, I mean, it is like a marathon. I mean, you have to train yourself for it for a few days.
Absolutely.
But what we're going to do is we're going to schedule 2 parts to it so that there's a little bit of flexibility there. If you tap out after, let's say 50, Carl, which would be completely understandable because most, even like wine judges that travel all over the world to taste wines, they say, oh, I can't do more than 30 reds at once. Right. So, so it would be okay.
These guys are amateur.
I know. But let's say you tap out at 50 or 60 and there's still some to go. We're going to schedule it on the Saturday afternoon, the 28th, again on the 29th, where even if you don't tap out, let's say you taste through all of them on the 29th, we're going to retaste some of
the
our
top 10. We're going to revisit the top 10 on the Sunday afternoon. So that's the plan. I want to revisit after 12 hours or like 20 hours of opening. We're going to put the cork back in the bottle. The day after, I'm going to revisit and retaste the top 10 to finalize the score of the top 10, because I forgot, like I'm pretty thrilled about the ice cellar Wiana Wanda and Arena 2020 that just arrived yesterday. Anyway, there's some outstanding stuff in there, so it's going to be cool. But in the meantime, it's weeks away. Tomorrow we have wine number 6. So tune with guys. Join us tomorrow for wine number 6. It's going to be another pretty cool adventure with one of our Canadian winemakers for somewhere between Nova Scotia and Vancouver Island, somewhere in between. So, yeah.
Super fun. You're not going to give us any more hints than that?
Why would I?
All right, fine. Is the winemaker tomorrow joining us fully live, or is it a recorded interview?
I mean, if I remember correctly, which one? Oh, yeah. Live.
Fully live.
Live. And we have another red tomorrow.
Okay.
That's what I can see.
I mean, those are good hints. Yeah, you can say these things.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you, Carl Boucher. Somebody asked us just yesterday, are there any more all-access passes to the Pan-Canadian? So this event that we were chatting about that was hosted at Hester Creek last year with Mark Hopley is going to be hosted at Siouan staff in Jordan, Ontario, in Niagara on June 21st, next summer. We are still working out some accommodations things and some details on which wineries we are going to visit on the Friday and the Sunday, but we've turned it into a 4-day event now. There's a number of things you can attend, not just the Pan-Canadian, which is when we taste like wines from coast to coast with the winemakers. It's a pretty crazy type of event. I don't think anybody else does something like that. But what was I saying? Yes. So someone was asking me about the all access passes. I do believe there's 6 left. We're limited with the all access because some of the events we can only take as many people as fit on a bus. And we have the biggest bus right now that can go through vineyards and roads and things like that. Right. So, but yes, there are. And so if you're like, oh, I'm still looking for a Christmas gift for myself or for somebody really special, then you could get tickets to any of the events, and there are still about 6 all access passes available.
So it's on our website in the top left corner. If you go to the menu, there's This Week Wineries. There's also the Pan-Canadian or the Advent Calendar. All of these different things are on the top left corner of our website. And yes, there is a few Advent Calendar packed in the box, ready to be dropped off at the express courier. If you guys want to join along, you're more than welcome to get your order in, and we're going to ship that express to you overnight, and you'll be part of our tasting. And tomorrow we have another. Okay, I'll give another hint. This is another winery that we have never featured.
Yes.
Red wine, and we've never featured that winery before.
In the club in almost 5 years. So there you go. Fun. Okay, well, we'll see everyone tomorrow night. Stop by. It'll be a great way to relax from the crazy time of the year we're in right now. Just chat wine. Just think of things that are not stressful. Think of things that bring us joy, right? Lots of fun.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Mira. Canadian Wine Lovers, Carl's Wine Club members. See you tomorrow.